What's up, guys? We are back with another Gundam Universe review, taking a look at another Gundam wing figure, but this is not an actual Gundam. We're taking a look at a grunt suit, and this is one that I'm kind of surprised we're getting because we don't even have a regular Zaku in this line yet, which is not necessarily a problem. It's just surprising. So we're taking a look at the Leo suit, and you know, it's kind of surprising, but it's kind of not, because the Leo is essentially the Tallgeese. So we've got it here in our standard Gundam Universe style packaging. I still really like this packaging format. I love what they do with translating the suit color to that sort of, you know, little swath of color that they put on there. So you've got that army green color. You've got a really cool shot of the Leo on the front figure in the window. We've got a product shot on one spine, and then on the back of the box you've got a shot of a bunch of Leos getting ready to be destroyed by the wing. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Gundam Universe Leo mobile suit from a Gundam wing. You know, the mech grunt that gets destroyed literally the second it appears on screen. They just get mowed down left and right. And I'm really happy to see this particular suit sort of be the first one, because I really like all of, you know, the Oz mobile suits from Gundam Wing. I love the Ares, I love the Taurus, I love all that kind of stuff, and I think this one's just a really cool looking suit. There's nothing too flashy about it, but it does something for me. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. If you've got the Tallgeese, you know to some degree what this is, because of course the Leo and the Tallgeese are very, very similar. So there's a lot of that here. It of course doesn't have all the same stuff, but it's close. What we do have is probably the most mobile, no pun intended, head in this line. I can't think of any off the top of my head that move this well. So you got really good up, really good down. You've even got tilt side to side, full rotation. Most figures in this line just don't have that because of, well, the very unique nature to how the heads are configured and sculpted. Arms out at the shoulders. You can spin them all the way around. You've got a slight butterfly joint. It's basically just due to how these things are put together. This armor piece does move. We've got a bicep swivel. Single jointed elbow, technically. It's just well, I guess it's sort of a double, but it's really just like a high cut single is what it looks like. But you've got really good range there. Ball pegs at the wrist, so in and out and around. Waists in this line are always a problem, almost always. This one's one of the slightly better ones. He's got a pretty decent twist and a pretty decent crunch too. Still, compared to most figures, you're always going to see these guys be a little bit limited just because of how they're put together there. A lot of these skirt pieces will move in and out and up and down to kind of try and help get out of your way when you're kicking these legs out. So the legs do go out a little bit, pretty decently. You do have a slight drop down here too. It's really minimal, but it's there. And it helps kick those legs out about that far. You've got a single jointed knee, and this is one of the areas that I'm definitely not a fan of, because the knees on this figure and a lot of figures in this line in general really just don't do a whole lot. So that's always kind of a pain point. And then we've got some rotation down here at the ankle. You've got pretty good rocker, and then you've got some squeaky hinge, but we've got some hinge down there too. So for the most part, this guy does move pretty well. There are a lot of figures in this line that are, well, just to be kind about it, really locked down and are mostly just nice to look at rather than pose. This guy does afford a little bit more range, and just in general is a lot easier to pose around than a lot of other figures in this line. You know, that said, I mostly care about the visuals on this figure because I want a handful of these, and I want them to look the part, and I think for the most part they very much do. I think they're sized really well, and this suit is very leggy. I mean, it's like 60% legs, right? It's got kind of a short torso and, of course, a very small head. So it has a unique profile, but I think it comes through really well. The skirt pieces look really nice and tight, and gives it some oomph around like the hip area. So it gives it sort of that V-shape torso that leads to these big old legs, which I do really like. The green color, very consistent throughout. I mean, it's almost all molded plastic on this figure, which isn't necessarily a weird or an odd thing for this particular line. A lot of figures tend to have very little paint. I'm not sure that this one truly needs it in many ways. Like the greens are green where they need to be, and the sort of grays are gray where they need to be. What I do think this figure would really benefit from is a black wash of some kind, just to hit some of these, you know, the line work. Basically what you would do on a Gundam kit when you panel line it. So hit it with a black wash, panel line it or something. I think this one would really benefit from it, just to make it pop a little bit more. But otherwise, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it out of the box. Whether I do that or not, time will tell, because quite frankly, I kind of just want to put a few of these with the Gundams and be done with it. I think he looks really nice. The sculpt is good. He's obviously very much in line with the Tall Geese, so if you've got that, you know what's going on. Love this head sculpt. I love its mobility because of this sculpt. I love that reflective gold on the inside. So that one definitely shines, has a lot of luster to it. There is, of course, a little bit of a different color up here. You've got some grays, you've got some red around the head, but for the most part, you're looking at a very military suit. He's not flashy. He doesn't have the typical red, white, and blue of a main Gundam, and he doesn't have any of the flashier colors of the rest of the Gundams either. He is a grunt suit, very utilitarian in its purpose, and that comes through in its design, comes through in its color scheme. But this is just an iconic mobile suit for me. It's one that I really think about a lot when it comes to Gundam in general. This is one of those sort of fodder suits that is always just getting mowed down. So I'm pretty happy to finally have this guy in the line. And the fact that it looks good is definitely a little bit of a bonus because, again, if I want a handful of them, I want him to look good, and he's going to look really solid alongside your Gundams, getting torn apart or whatever, or standing in a squad with a few of these guys. Now, as far as accessories goes, the Leo comes with a few things. It's not a great deal, and to be honest, most figures in this line in general don't tend to have a lot of accessories, so you get kind of like the Hallmark normal base loadout kind of thing. So to start with, we do get some extra hands. He comes with fists in the box. You get a gripping left hand, a trigger finger right to hold this gun in this particular setup. It's really meant to be held two-handedly, with the other hand gripping this bar across the top. No paint on this gun, but it does look pretty good. It's definitely got a unique design and a unique shape. It's different than, well, I'd say anything else we have in the line so far, right? So it's just a pretty, generic gun by comparison to some of the other stuff we've gotten so far, but it looks really good with the Leo. And then we do get a beam saber for this guy, and this, I could be wrong, but I think this is the beginning of a change for beam sabers. Up until now, and I think up until now, they've all been metallic in color. This is the first one that I've seen, and I believe the others in this wave are, I haven't even opened them yet as of this review, they're not. They're just like a matte finish paint job, which I suppose is more animation-y than a metallic beam saber, but I really like those metallic ones, so I'm kind of torn on this. The color does look good, though. It's very, classic pink beam saber, and you've got the green hilt, and of course the blade is removable there also. So yeah, that's a little bit of a change up. Not the biggest problem in the world for me, but definitely something that stood out. So he's got a few things, nothing too crazy, but kind of all the stuff you need if you want to have a bunch of Leo grunt suits getting destroyed by your wing Gundams. So overall, pretty happy with this guy. I'm really happy that we are getting this kind of stuff in the line in general. I'm certainly a big Gundam Wing fan. I've said it. I really like the grunt suits in this series. I love the Leo. I like the Ares, the Taurus, all that stuff. I'd love to get all of them in this line if I could. This is a pretty basic figure, but of course that's sort of what it's supposed to be anyway. Moves pretty well. It does have some limitations, but in some ways it's better than average for this line for sure. I think they really got the look down. I like the colors. Well, what variation there really is. I do think it could probably use a little bit of a wash, but the sculpt looks good. Sizing, proportions look good. Just the generic nature of this thing, if that makes sense, looks good. And then, of course, it comes with a pretty solid array of accessories. Nothing too crazy, but it's a generic mobile suit. Give them a gun, give them a beam saber, and you're good to go. So that's going to do it for this look at the Gundam Universe Gundam Wing Leo. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.